want to talk about, is it good to be honest in a relationship? We all value trust and honesty, but there is a limit to that. Sometimes not all the thoughts that you think and not all the things that you feel is helpful to say in a relationship. I mean, how often have you had someone say that they're going to be honest with you only to use it as a reason to be mean or to tear you apart? Sometimes pure honesty is not kind, it's not helpful. It causes damage. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, it's not true. In a relationship, the words that you choose to speak can and do leave lasting damage. And there are some things that are not helpful to say. So as much as you want that wonderful truth and honesty in your relationship, you want to choose being kind over being right. You want to choose supporting your partner, not ripping them apart. And, maybe the brutal, honest truth can be absolutely that, brutal and more damaging than anything else. Now, I want to talk about this today because I have been watching Married at First Sight, and it's it's an experiment. It's a lot of time for ratings, and they fast track things and get them to ask questions that are questions that you wouldn't usually get that early in a relationship. And you see the results of some of these questions and some of the honest answers, how they're ripping partners apart, and the cracks can be so big that they can't be repaired. And that's what I want to talk about today, how being that honest about things. I mean, you could be honest with me. I'm always told that I've got a big nose, but talking about my nose isn't particularly helpful, because unless I pay a lot of money and get some plastic surgery, I'm not going to change that. And to be honest, if you look at people like Jennifer Grey from, what's the movie? Don't Put Baby in a Corner. I can't remember the name. That's terrible when it goes blank. When she got a nose job, it changed the way she looks. So, some things that people might not like about us, that it's not really useful to say when we can't change it. So I want to go to, there were several things in the Married at First Sight episodes that were just so painful to watch. And, I did look at some of the guys giving this information, going, can you not see how that's landing on the girl you're saying it to? It hurt my heart to watch it, to know how they would have felt when that was said to them. So the truth box came out, and it was Bryce and Melissa. And it was, is your partner, the marriage partner, your usual type? And Bryce goes, no, you're not my usual type. Now, he could have left it at that because, it is Married at First Sight. They are matching people outside of the square. They are going on the show because their usual type hasn't worked. But he didn't leave it there. He kept going and going and going. And to watch, it felt like he was digging a hole and digging it deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, to watch was painful. So he kind of goes, no, my normal type of girl is a 10 who has blonde hair and blue eyes. To be honest, I'd probably talk at you a bar, but you're not someone I would date. Yeah, you've got the blonde hair. And he kept going and he kept going. And to see her face and the hurt, that he was oblivious of that, was really quite disturbing. And it cut deep. You want to, if you're going to make a relationship work, you don't want to think that you're, telling someone that they're clearly not a 10 or nowhere near a 10 is not a great start for that relationship. In fact, it is enough to tear them apart. And the one thing is, watching last night's episode, they go, we're going to speed things up. We're going to put more pressure on these couples to fast track things. Now, that doesn't work, because in a normal relationship, you would have the sound foundation of attraction, of communication, of all those good feelings, where you get to know what the other person needs to feel loved. You've got enough fondness and admiration for them. And, it makes, I like John and Julie Gottman's work. They've studied couples for 40 years, and they talk about a relationship house where you need the firm foundations and trust before you can deal with some of the conflict. So when they work with people, couples often have around 69% of unsolvable conflict, which is pretty high. But they'll go back to the basics, work on knowing what the other person needs to feel loved, work on respect and listening and hearing and admiring and doing nice things for each other, because then you can deal with those things, the conflict or the differences of opinion, or some of that honesty. So kind of forcing these things too soon is going to tear a relationship apart. They may say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Absolutely not true. Words stick, they have power, they stay around long after the words have been said. And, if you can choose being kind rather than being brutally honest about stuff that people can't change. I mean, look, one example is if say I was, about to go get on a stage and speak, and you didn't like what I was wearing, I can't change that. So there's no point in telling me at that point of time. You can say something later, but sometimes timing is everything when people can't change it. There's also a way of telling the truth so it lands better. Maybe I like this situation, someone's got a new employee and they perform terribly. You can either criticize that person, which they just lose heart, or you could take a different approach. Look, that didn't work out. Often people have that experience on the first week. Let's work on it a bit more next week. That is saying the truth in a way that you're conscious about how it lands so the other person can hear it, which is much more useful. So anyway, in these honesty experiments, I think it was Coco and Sam had the same conversation about attraction. That didn't go so bad. And then I forget the name of the girl, Cam, and his partner. He said he wasn't initially attracted, but did that very well. But then after they'd been intimate, said he didn't have enough of a connection. So that kind of tore them apart. It was something not knowing how that would land for the person, not understanding a background of a woman who'd been cheated upon, who just felt like she might have been used. It was using honesty in such a way like a freaking sledgehammer. Last night, they got all of the people to rate the opposite sex in front of their partner. So the guy would have all the girls and had to rate them in attractiveness and then put his partner where he saw them. Oh, do you know what? I never recommend anyone doing that. But they did it. So the couples that were doing well ranked the people and then put their partner at the front of the pile. And it made them feel good. And their rationale was going, well, look, I've got to know them, I've spent this time, I like them, of course they're going to be more attractive in my eyes. I'm not looking around at anyone else. Those that were experiencing difficulty were brutally honest again in a way that doesn't help a relationship. You rank the people, and I think it was Coco and Sam. Sam rated Coco 4th, which hurt her, but she was probably used to him doing things. She honestly goes, look, I'm not just going on physical appearance. I'm going to rank the people on, them as a whole. So she ranked him 5th. And he'd been criticizing her and pulling her apart the whole time, but he couldn't take it when it was turned on him. He thought she was being spiteful. He thought she was being nasty, but she was being honest with him like he was being honest with her, and it didn't land very well. She actually said to the producers, I probably put him last because his personality, and that is the difference between men and women. I don't even think it's men and women. We all become more attractive when you know the essence of the person and who they are. So back to the point of brutal honesty. It's like a sledgehammer that can break your relationship when you're saying things that don't need to be said. So choose kindness over being right. Choose to build your partner up rather than tear them down, and watch where your words are landing. Honesty is not always the best policy in relationships. That's me. I hope whatever you do today puts a smile on your face. Thank you.